comes from Psalm 27. It can be found on the front of your bulletin or in your pew Bible if you'd like to follow along. I'll give you a second to find it. Let us be attentive to a word from the psalmist. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamps against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, that I will seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock. Now my head is lifted up above my enemies and all around me, and I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry aloud. Be gracious to me and answer me. Come, my heart says, seek his face. Your face, Lord, do I seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger, you who have been my help. Do not cast me off. Do not forsake me. O God of my salvation, if my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me on a level path. Because of my enemies, do not give me up to the will of my adversaries. For false witnesses have risen against me, and they are breathing out violence. I believe that I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. This is the word of the Lord. Let us pray. Holy God, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of all our hearts here today, be holy to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Friday morning, most of us woke up to horrendous news coming out of New Zealand. We're doing Salat al-Ja'un, which is midday prayer, at the Al-Noor Mosque and the Linwood Mosque in Christchurch. A man stormed in, killing 50. That's the count now. Leaving dozens others in critical condition. One 5-year-old girl still remains in critical condition, and one 3-year-old boy has died. Peaceful worship. Peaceful worship destroyed by hate. And there is no question whether it was about white supremacy or not, because it was. He said so. The man who perpetrated the act said, I am white and I am better than the brown and the non-Christian, so I killed him. At his trial, he made this symbol. You know what that is? White power. And he laughed. And he celebrated. Peaceful worshipers were gunned down devout people in the midst of midday prayer because of white nationalism and white supremacy. A hatred where he wrote in his manifesto that he celebrated Dylan Ruff. I still remember where I was when I heard about what he did. I was at Montreat. I was worshiping and in a small group with kids who were from the Presbyterian church across the street from the AME church where Dylan Ruff went in and shot members of a Bible study because of white power. Because he wanted to start race wars. Because of hate. because of lies, because of fear that these men have been fed their entire lives, because of fear of something they didn't know, because of fear of something they never took a moment to even take a chance to even reach out and understand. And we live in a world that loves some good fear, don't we? Some good fear-mongering. Let's tell the people they got something to be scared of. Because they look different, because they worship a different way, because they talk different. Let's give them fear. Let's manipulate them. It's the good old bait and switch. We've seen it done over the course of history numerous times. The Jews were someone to be feared because they were taking power. So we exterminated in Nazi Germany millions of them. Because of fear. Because, see, the Jews were taking power from the Germans and they were replacing them. The white, Aryan race. The world wants to be in control. The powers want to control us, and they do it with fear in the most basic forms to scare us. They feed on our fears. Turn on the TV. Or better yet, kill your TV. Throw it out your window and set it on fire, because all it's doing for you right now is working to manipulate and control you in this day and age. To make you scared. To make you scared of someone who doesn't look, talk, worship like you do. To make you scared that you don't have enough of X, Y, and Z. To make you think that your life will never be full and will never be good if you don't have, get, take, steal, want. So you are scared. So we live lives of fear. It's the politicians, it's the media, it's the ideologies. There are some churches who do this. We use fear tactics to scare people in our little cliques or groups away from other people. The ad agencies, big business, they want us to be scared so that we can be controlled. But here's the truth. Here's the absolute, utter truth. What do we have to be afraid of? I believe in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ until he comes again. Death is scary, but if I die tomorrow, my faith says that it is incredible what comes next. I'm not saying I want to die tomorrow because I really love being with you all. But if I do, if death is the worst that this world has to offer for me, death is meaningless. Death has no ground to stand on anymore. So what do we have to be afraid of? If death is the worst that this world offers us, our existence ceasing here on this plane, then what do we have to be afraid of? The truth of the matter is, and here's the absolute truth, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is no one to be afraid of. Period. It's in fact completely against being a faithful person is to be a person who lives a life out of fear. It's antithesis to everything that is in our holy book, and to the words that Jesus Christ said, and to the words that came before Jesus Christ said anything. We have no reason to be afraid of anything. Anything. Now, am I a little trepidatious because I handed in my taxes to Becky Claypool on Friday? Yeah, I am, because it hasn't been good so far, but it's just money. It's just money. Am I a little concerned that we approve a deficit budget? Yes, I am. But it's just money. Because you know what? In spite of the deficit budget, we still do incredible things. With 36 kids who come in here every Tuesday, just down there, you see their hooks, and they run, and they laugh, and they learn. They learn about Jesus Christ, and learn not to be afraid of anything. So in spite of the money and those things, we have nothing to truly be afraid of. It is the opposite of faith. How many times have you heard that we like to slam that guy Thomas? Oh, doubting Thomas. So he had some questions. Big deal. Poor guy gets a bad rap. I got a lot of questions too. Doubt is the opposite of faith. Hogwash. Fear is the opposite of faith. Fear and confidence are the confidence and faith and boldness to stand firm in it. Fear disrupts that more than a few questions, a few measly doubts, a few misunderstandings. Because you know when you get a doubt and you can spin that doubt around and you can look at it and you can poke holes in it and you can play with it, and guess what? Your faith at the end of the day is stronger for it. But fear, your faith has been cut off at the knees. We have nothing to be afraid of. And here's the real problem with fear. I'm about to quote Star Wars. Grace, are you ready? Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering, is what Yoda says. It comes in the midst when Anakin Skywalker, who later becomes Darth Vader, spoiler alert, tough to deal with it, it's been out for a long time. Sorry, honey, I know you've never seen it, but there you go. Comes when he's questioning and then he's beginning to fear is settling in about his call and his role as the strongest, most powerful force wielder in the universe. And Yoda says that to his mentor. And then he becomes Darth Vader. And then he kills and he maims and he destroys, and Yoda's dead on because fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. There's a good reason why those movies have stood the test of time, because there's truth in them, and that is an absolute truth. That is the path to the dark side. It's the path to the opposite of faith. Fear moves us to lives of suffering rather than lives that are full of light and love. Lives that are steadfast in the stronghold of our God. It moves us to lives where we grow to hate others just because they look different, because they talk different. It moves us to lives where we suffer internally and we cause others to suffer externally and internally as well. Tuesday in our book study, I don't know who did it, but they affirmed something. And it proves that this path, this fear-laden path is the opposite of faith. They said, in the beginning, God created humankind in God's image. And in God's image, God created humankind. But that would mean everybody's created in the image of God, right? That would. That's a very good deductive reasoning. What if they believe something different than I do? It doesn't say anything about belief. It says creation. They're created in the image of God. Every single person that has, does, and will come to be is created in the very image of the divine. Every single person has the infinite spark of the divine buried deep inside of our weak, broken, sometimes miserable, fearful, finite shells, but that spark is still in there. And so if we live lives out of fear for someone else, for something else, then we fear God and we fear ourselves, and it's just a path to destruction. So when we fear others and we hate others, we are hating our family, those who are created just like us, the ones who internally are the same. And that, again, is counter to what faith is about. It is counter to faith. Howard Thurm said this while writing to his African American brothers and sisters in the 40s and 50s. The awareness of being a child of God tends to stabilize the ego and results in a new courage and fearlessness and power. I'm going to say that again. The awareness of being a child of God tends to stabilize the ego and results in a new courage, fearlessness, and power. He recognized at once that to fear a man, whatever may be the man's power over him, is a basic denial of the integrity of his very life. The awareness that a man is a child of God, who is at one and the same time the God of life, creates a profound faith in life that nothing can destroy. If we recognize ourselves and others as children of God, it's a profound faith that nothing in this life can destroy. Our psalmist today understood that well before we had means of guns and bombs and things to really kill each other with. But he understood, he or she understood, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. What do we have to be afraid of? The Lord is our stronghold of our life. The psalmist affirms the stronghold. Bethany and I went to Scotland some time ago. I guess it's 4 years now. We went to Edinburgh Castle. I thought it was the most boring place I'd ever been in my entire life. I was so unimpressed. Because it was really well built and strategically placed. It has never been besieged, attacked, taken from the people who were inside of it. That's how God is. God is this castle built upon volcanic rock on a hill that is traversable by one path, and it is got protection on all sides. So what do we have to fear if we are unsiegeable, unbreakable, unattackable? We have nothing to fear. Do not fear, in context, literally saying do not fear to us or have no fear to us, is in the Bible 100+ times. Think about it. Over the course of our scriptures, God has had to tell us, do not be afraid. Even when good things are happening, Jesus is raised by the dead, the first thing he says to his disciples is, go ahead. Go ahead. Do not be afraid. When he ascends, or when he's transfigured, they fall to their knees and they freak out, and he says, do not be afraid. We have nothing to fear. Paul tells us that in this life or the next, that there is nothing in this world, no powers, no principalities, nothing that can separate us from the love of God, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Why let fear filter into our lives when that is not the God we have? We're created in the image of God who is creative, life-giving, graceful, merciful, and calls us good. Here's why we let fear. It's verse 4. Has anybody still got there? If you still got this, flip it over. Never mind. Not verse numbers on it. Don't worry about it. Don't flip it over. Don't even open it. Verse 4 says this. The one thing that I would ask, that I would see, one thing. Do you know why we get wrapped up in fear? Because we lose our single-mindedness. I know we're not supposed to be tunnel vision people, but we are supposed to be tunnel vision. We're supposed to be single-mindedly focused on the divine. We don't do that. We get scattered. We get busy. My God, look at Cole Cremines or Cole, are you the only youth here? Dang it. All right, look at we got a bunch of little kids here too. Look at the lives of our little ones and our high schoolers. How many activities are they in? Not knocking you all for having your kids in activities, but I'm simply saying, look how busy we are. But you know what? We've told Cole that he has to be that busy. Because if Cole's not on student council, carries a 4.0, does 4 different sports, also isn't in Spanish club or whatever else club he's in, then he doesn't get to go to Purdue or Iowa State or MIT or wherever. Then he doesn't get a chance to be something worthwhile. So he has to be overplanned and overbusy, or he's not worth anything. So it's really easy to wonder why. We wonder why, when at my day and age, kids didn't seem to break down like they do this time. You'll wonder why. My grandparents let me be in a sport in school because they knew that if I got overextended, I was going to fall apart. Brothers and sisters, I fall apart. We lose our single-mindedness. And if my grandparents had been church-going people, we would have done three things: sport, school, church. I can guarantee you. But when we lose our single-mindedness, when we lose our simple focus on God first, we disseminate into being distracted, to being manipulated, to being forced into being scared and afraid of everything else that comes in our way. And I know it's hard in this day and age because society dictates for us that we have to be busy. That we have to have a calendar that has 40 different boxes on it that we have to check off every single day. Because if we don't, we weren't successful that day, or we may get fired. I'll be honest. I have a different call and job than most of you. I cannot get all my boxes checked off tomorrow and not get fired for it. Some of you don't have that luxury. I understand that. But we do need to get back to that single-mindedness. Because when we don't, that fear begins to linger in. What have I missed? Am I good enough? Someone else is right there behind me to take from me. The other person is right there. They're actually trying to kill me, or they're trying to do whatever. That fear settles in, and it lingers, it becomes hate, and we all suffer for it. I encourage you, brothers and sisters, stop for a moment. Just stop for a moment. Sit. Breathe. Find God again. Focus there. Reestablish there. If you do nothing else this Lent, take time for you and God. You will be better for it. And the world that is right around you, if it's kids, if it's work, will be better for it. And the world around each of those people will be better for it. It's a pyramid scheme, y'all. I'm trying to hook you into a pyramid scheme. The world will be better for it the more we stop and regain that one focus. Can I guarantee that crazy people will not try to kill other people? No. We tend to like to do that to each other. But what I can guarantee is in our small circles, they will grow bigger and bigger, and they will replicate that image that is in each of us that is creative and loving and merciful and good. Because when God knew you before you were formed in the womb, God said you were good. Actually, God said you were very good. So stop. Breathe. Pray. Refocus. And watch the world get better right around you. And it'll get better and